What's going on, everybody? It's Chris Classic dropping another video. Hope you guys are enjoying these days nearing Christmas and New Year's, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of those. If you don't celebrate them, have a wonderful day heading into the new year. If you don't celebrate that, I'm just glad you're watching the video. Before I go on, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also, to subscribe to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling channel. That's where my company, along with my wife, we have a lot of promos, a lot of wrestling things, and we will be updating about our future and what we have going on in the year 2022. Let's go into it. I was looking at some wrestling, and it was with a particular older wrestler. I'm not going to say the name or anything like that. And I was just thinking about legacies. Actually, I was looking at a video, and they were talking about how somebody is messing up their legacy, a wrestler, basically saying that they're too old and basically they're messing up their legacy. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. What exactly does a wrestler have to do to ruin their legendary legacy? Now, a lot of people are upset with Jericho, for example, Chris Jericho, who a lot of people will say is one of the best, if not the best wrestler they have ever seen before. And a lot of people, they're like, okay, he seems cool in AEW. A lot of people are very observant and very opinionated about his appearance, how he looks, his position in matches and everything like that. A lot of people are like, oh, he's tarnishing his legacy in AEW because he's burying younger guys and he's just not as good as he used to be, and he needs to put a shirt on to wrestle, or he needs to lose weight. My opinion on that: I don't think that in AEW Jericho is ruining his legacy. I don't think it's dwindling. I don't think it's not even on much of a negative side. Now, I was very critical. I did think that MJF should have beat him at All Out, personally. But other than that, he's there. He was a staple at the beginning. He was doing the interviews that got millions of views. He was talking to, I believe, Bubba Ray. I'm not 100% sure. He talked and got everybody interested in it because he was the top star at the time. So now, about 2 years later, a lot of people don't like how he's looking. I mean, he's getting older. Metabolism changes. Working out changes. He's also a rock star. He does a lot of things. So it's like, it's not that wrestling is his main thing now. It's one of them, but not all of them. So, a lot of people are like, okay, well, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. Wrestling is very opinionated, even from the wrestling standpoint and a fan standpoint. Do I think is he ruining his legacy? No. Do I think he does a lot of things that be like, dang, you need to chill out? Yes. But I don't think anything that he does is going to basically ruin his legacy. His political views, his vaccination views, COVID views, regardless. I don't think that kind of stuff ruins legacies or anything like that. That was the first one. Hogan. We'll bring in Hogan, right? So, Hogan slept with his best friend's wife and then was also using the N-word multiple times. And a lot of people canceled him. And a lot of people still canceled him to this day. I'm not going to say everybody forgave him because everybody have not. But on the WWE standpoint, they suspended him for a couple years and then they brought him back. And the fans are still booing him. But I do have a lot of people, a lot of my friends, even ones of color, they forgave Hogan. They were like, okay, well, he said it. He was gone for a couple years and then now he's back. And that's also another point. Sometimes if you're like a mega star, it doesn't even matter what evil you did back in the day. People are going to be cool with it. Until basically now. You get what I'm saying? It still depends. I think that if Hogan would have said the N-word in footage now, he probably would have a harder time coming back. Because look at what's going on with Ric Flair, right? With the plane ride from hell. Now, it was lewd and it was rude and it was horrible. So you should pay for that. Tommy should pay for what he said too as well. We gotta stop that. Let's just protect the locker room even if the bad. No. Excuse me. We protect it when we're protecting ourselves and the good things, and we have a reputation. No one is supposed to know what's going on, but we also supposed to treat each other like a brotherhood, which is a long lost concept, which I'm not going to go into today. The lady felt violated. I don't care what she did. People were trying to say she did this and that, broke crimes, broke laws and all. I don't want to hear that. Inappropriate is inappropriate. So now Flair's is having a hard time getting a lot of business. He's still getting business because he's Ric Flair. That's that legacy part. You get what I'm saying? But I think that if he would have did this years ago, like that show would have came out or whatever years ago, because they've been talking about this. I just think that Dark Side of the Ring is just a very popular show. I have friends that don't even watch wrestling tune in to Dark Side of the Ring, and they talk to me about it. So that just says what's going on, and that just says just how important that show is to media and to people. So with Hogan did his thing or whatever. A lot of people are still mad. A lot of people say F Hulk Hogan or whatever like that. His legacy basically isn't tarnished. I know that his health is like really bad now, so a lot of people are really concerned about that. But even that smidget didn't really put like a dark thing. You know, they took his stuff down and then they brought it back because of what he's done to wrestling. You know, there's also allegations on a lot of the top wrestlers. I'm not going to name all of them, but you guys know, and a lot of people just sweep that under the rug. You know, we know some of the horrible and horrendous practices that Vince McMahon do. But as far as Ric Flair, you know, a lot of us were assuming that he was going to go to AEW and Beeline so he could manage his former son-in-law, because Andrade ain't needed. But that's another video too. So can a man like Terry Funk is like one of the guys on a lot of the older guys from Mount Rushmore wrestling, right? But this man, even when I was watching Beyond the Mat, and they were saying that this man had no cartilage in his knees, and he was still wrestling. He was still doing all of the stuff. He might have been slow, it might not have been more precise, but he still was wrestling. And then he just stopped not too long ago. My homie C-Red just told me that he just did an appearance. And it was scary because sometimes he's not in his right mind. Praying for you, Terry. And he was at ECW, wanted to be an ECW heavyweight champion, doing moonsaults or doing all kind of stuff. And it's just like, man, you look at that and you see the drive, the passion, what he wants to continue to do. You know, when you're considered old in wrestling, that really pushes a lot of people to work out or show, oh, I'm not old, I can still wrestle, I can still keep up with you and stuff like that. Me circling in 10 years, that's kind of making me feel like I'm getting old, and I'm old now or whatever like that. Not saying I'm a vet or anything, but these younger guys are faster, they're doing more things, their cardio is up to 10. I'm 32 years old, so I definitely need to work more on that, and I do have a gym here. But going to my point, I don't even think sometimes old age is a big of a deal for ruining your legacy. I mean, even before the scandal for the plane ride to hell on Dark Side, a lot of people were already wanting Rick to retire when he was in WWE because of the match, and he still was putting on good matches. He still had the crowd into it. People cried when Shawn Michaels retired him for WWE. And then we thought, okay, cool, that's a good ride off to the sunset moment. Then he goes to TNA and wrestles a couple matches. And there's only a few of them I remember because he didn't need to wrestle anymore. But it didn't tarnish his legacy like people thought it was. It's Ric Flair. Sting. I love Sting, right? And I make fun of his punches because you know that he has to grab that top rope to punch somebody because he's going to fall over. But I do get scared because of the neck injury he had when he ran against Seth Rollins and all of these suplexes. Anything with the back or the neck I'm scared of. When Brian Cage powerbombed him, I thought he was going to turn into dust. I thought somebody was going to have to sweep up his ashes after the spot. But he's good. He's been good. He's been limiting himself. And that's a good thing as well. He's not tarnishing his legacy. I was excited to see Sting back in the wrestling ring. Regardless of how people feel of his wrestling skills and how they look, because they have changed. Yes, they have changed, because this guy used to be a monster. But it's the character. It's just the legacy. It's the legend in him. And he wrestles, and I think he's paired very well with Darby doing tags and stuff like that. Darby takes the brunt, Sting comes in. They had a great match, 6-man match that I'm going to watch. But what I saw, I thought it was pretty good. It's not messing up his legacy. If anything, those kind of things kind of cement the legacy that you've wrestled for almost all the top companies and that you're still making a name for yourself. I think when you can mess up a legacy is if you're unsafe Scandals, that's abuse, phobics, racist, molesting. All of those things are things that contributed to saying like he's tarnished the legacy. Been wild, right? Some people are still watching this stuff. Some people still support it. Some people are like, it never happened. Some people think that somebody else did it. That's how far I'm going into it. I'm not investigating nothing. Hey, it is what it is. I have my opinion on what happened. I feel like it's a fact on what happened, but we won't go into it. But despite the fact of all that bad things happening, you know, WWE basically erased dang near 99.9% of his content, and then they started slowly bringing it back without the mention of his name because of the situation that happened. So his legacy is tarnished with a lot of people. A lot of people do not see him going into at least the WWE Hall of Fame or any other Hall of Fames. If he's in one, comment, let me know. But what he did was allegedly was a heinous act, obviously, to his family. So a lot of people, they just tuned him out. And, you know, WWE tuned him out. They didn't mention him at first. They had the tribute show. Then the following week, they backdoored and said, okay, we finally know what's happening. We're not doing it. So this topic is so touchy because it's like, I'm not trying to attack people and I'm not trying to attack their legacy alone. We have to realize that wrong is wrong, and with with wrestling, it's just a lot of guys that have got away with a lot of stuff that we know that we don't know, and then a lot of people are giving them praise about it. But when it comes from actually wrestling on the wrestling stand side, you know, like I said, unless you're like very unsafe, and that's when you go to hardcore matches or anything like that, you know, the Hannibal situation. He still might get booked, but I think a lot of people are going to steer away from him. They're probably going to steer away from Kevin Sullivan, unfortunately, because he was saying get the kayfabe police. These are the kind of things that messes up your legacy, like when you're unsafe, dangerous, and you're dealing with scandals. But if anything else, if you're very, like, you want to say past your prime, if you will, you know, you have to be smart in how you wrestle. You want to give your all, but you also want to walk away at the end of the day. So with legacy, it's kind of difficult, but very easy to mess it up, if that makes sense. You know, just steer clear, make sure you stay in your lane, and make sure that you continue to protect the business and do what's best. But just because somebody is old or you feel like they're over the hill or they can't do what they used to do, that doesn't mean that they're tarnishing their legacy by still wrestling. I do understand some people want the younger guys to get an opportunity to wrestle and to work, but at the same time they could also learn something to make a legacy and a foundation for themselves looking at these older guys wrestle. They might not do all the flip moves and dive out spots and stuff. Now Sting's still doing dive out spots and I still get scared, but anyway, a lot of them may not do what they used to do. You know, Punk is still finding his pacing and everything like that. But it's at the end of the day, it's still CM Punk because he's an older guy now. You know what I'm saying? He's still cementing his legacy as well, showing people that he still has it, regardless if you feel like he has it all the way or not. So with this legacy thing, let's just look at these older guys and let's just appreciate what they're doing, because I bet if Jericho quits now, people are going to miss him. Sting stops, people are going to miss him. A lot of these older guys stop, they're going to miss him. Brock, Goldberg, regardless of how you feel or how unsafe they be, because they do be unsafe. They really do be unsafe. People still pay to see them. So that's all. Like, just calm down with the legacy talk. You know, if it's a legacy to your liking, that's one thing. But their legacy as a whole, I feel like will be untouched unless it's something of pure evil that they do or doing evil deeds. Once again, this is Chris Classic, and let's take it home.